What's up, y'all? It's Timmy. So today I want to talk a little bit about my Cooper Discoverer AT3 XLT tires that I've had on my truck for 35,000 miles and just give you my personal opinions and my personal experience with the tires and let you know what I truly think of them. And also I want to talk a little bit about my General Grabber X3 tires that I just got to replace the Coopers and let you know my thoughts on those. So let's get to it. Welcome to Truck House Live, baby. So first, I'd like to talk a little bit about my Cooper Discoverer AT3 XLT tires. So if you checked out the Cooper line of AT3 tires, you know that there's a few different options. You can opt for either a really smooth sidewall or kind of a beefed up, chunkier, treadier sidewall, which is the XLT, which is the tire I had on my truck for 35,000 miles. And I just straight up, I'm going to tell you, I've been really impressed with that tire and I would totally buy it again, but let's get into why. So first off, I've had these Cooper tires on my truck for 35,000 miles, and my truck's not exactly a standard normal truck. It's a 96 Ford F350 Power Stroke diesel, which is really heavy to begin with, around 8,000 pounds. And then I put a truck cabin camper that I built for the back of it. So essentially it's a 10,000 pound setup. It's an extremely heavy truck and camper setup, and I wanted a tire that I knew was going to last a long time and give me good traction in the winter and in the summer, essentially year round, and just a tire that I could trust and was really tough, wouldn't have to worry about flats. So I did a lot of research and I decided on the Cooper Discoverer AT3 XLTs, and I couldn't have been happier with the purchase. They've been awesome. The number one reason I went with the Cooper tires is because they use a tread compound that's specifically made for really heavy vehicles, and it really did live up to its name. As you look at the tires I have in the truck, they have 35,000 miles on them now, and they're actually in really good shape. I don't have a tread gauge or anything, but I'd say there's at least 40 to 50% life left to the tires, and they are a little bit worn down on the edges, more so than the center, and that's because of my own wrongdoings. I had the Coopers inflated to 65 PSI, which is the maximum inflation PSI for the 35-inch tire that I had. So maybe that is what caused it to wear down on the edges a little bit more. I'm not sure, but it could be that and just the weight of the camper or my driving style. But yeah, the edges did wear down a little bit more, but overall I've been extremely impressed with how much life is left in them and how slow the wear has been for how heavy my truck is. So the road noise, it is a little more aggressive tire for the road, but the center lugs are kind of twisted around and off center from each other. And what that does is break up essentially the drone sound that the tires make. For how aggressive they look and how aggressive they are, they're super quiet tires and really smooth riding. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about them as far as a nice smooth road ride, being comfortable and not being loud. That being said, I do have a 7.3 Power Stroke diesel, which is probably the loudest engine made, so that probably cuts out some of the road noise, so take that with a grain of salt. Tire vibrations. So how did the tires do over time? When I first got them, they're super smooth, just like any new tire is, and of course, over time, when my edges started kind of wearing a little bit uneven, they started getting a little bit louder and just having a little bit of a rumble to them. And once again, that was my fault for probably not keeping the tire inflation even on all sides or having my airbags pumped up differently and throwing the steering off. So I would say overall they have a really smooth ride on the road for how aggressive of a tire they are. So how did they handle in snow and gravel and all that good stuff? They're pretty awesome. First off, 35,000 miles, I never had a single flat tire, even with that big heavy camper on and driving a whole bunch of dirt roads with horrible super sharp shale and gravel. Never get the first flat tires, so they're super tough tires. So I've actually owned BF Goodrich KO2 all-terrain tires on another truck, and they did feel more stable, more grippy in the snow than these Coopers do. So if you want something just specifically for the snow, it might not be the best snow tire, but it did handle well enough to where I was happy with it. Definitely handled better than a mud terrain or a non all-terrain tire. So yeah, if you're going to be driving in snow or in ice, they're pretty decent tires. So one cool feature about the Coopers is essentially the deep rain gutters, so that keeps you from hydroplaning, and they actually handle pretty well in heavy rain and through puddles and all that kind of stuff. And once again, the wear of the tire, I've been super impressed with how heavy my truck is. You can consider my truck a worst case scenario. It's like as heavy as you can load these tires, and you're probably going to have better results with these tires than I did because your truck probably doesn't weigh quite as much. So as far as wear is concerned, they've been fantastic, and at 35,000 miles for how heavy my truck is all I could ask out of a tire, and there's still plenty of life left. I have no doubt that these tires could make it to 50,000 miles. So would I buy the Cooper tires again? Absolutely. I would get them a second time without hesitation. They've been awesome tires, but if you know me, I like to try different stuff. So I decided to try another set of tires this time just to see. So I chose to get the General Grabber X3 tires. So after a couple years experiencing how the Cooper AT3 tires handle in the snow, I decided that I might as well just kind of get whatever tire I want, because if you don't have studded tires up here in Alaska, then you kind of might as well just rock whatever you got and just keep it safe and slow. So I decided to try a mud terrain tire for the first time. So after a whole bunch of research, I decided to get some General Grabber X3 mud terrain tires. I decided to get the General Grabbers because they had really good reviews in the wintertime and for snow and ice for a mud terrain tire. Is essentially the best rated mud terrain tire for ice and snow. Mainly because the lugs, or the treads if you will, are siped all the way down. So there's slits all the way down through the entire depth of the lug, which just helps the lug kind of flex around and bite the snow and ice. So I thought that was a good idea. A few more reasons I went with the General Grabber tires this round is because they're supposed to be really quiet and smooth for a mud terrain tire, and the compound that they use is supposed to be really long lasting for heavy vehicles. So even though it's really soft and grippy, whatever they did to it is supposed to last a long time. So I figured there's no better truck to put that to test than my truck at 10,000 pounds. The one thing I did notice is they're really tough tires, which means they're heavier tires. So my 35-inch Cooper tires weigh about 8 pounds less than these General Grabber X3s because there's just more rubber to them. They're beefier, the sidewalls are super tough, and they just seem really durable. Honest truth, I have not put many miles on these General Grabber X3 tires yet because I just got them on my truck. But so far, I've been really impressed with how quiet they are. It's insane. I've owned several mud terrain tires, and those are by far the quietest mud terrain tires I've ever owned. Once again, I have a 7.3 Power Stroke diesel in the Ford, so that's a really loud engine, so that probably helps a little bit. But I just noticed just barely more of a hum than my Cooper tires, so that's pretty good for a mud terrain. So I do notice a little bit more of a vibration when driving around on the General Grabbers than I had with my Coopers, but it's really not that bad and hardly noticeable, and I think it's worth the trade-off for having that much more traction when you want it. So I thought my fuel consumption would not be quite as good with these mud terrain tires, and honestly it's about the same. From what I've calculated, I've lost about half a mile a gallon switching to these mud terrain tires from my Coopers, which is pretty good to get a way more aggressive tire and not go down that much in mileage, so that's pretty sweet. In the future, I'll do another video on the General Grabber X3 tires after I've had them for a while and let you know my thoughts and how they perform for me over that time. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful and informative, and hopefully you can make a more informed decision on what tire to buy for your ride. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button down there and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content and reviews or adventure videos. I try to do something every single week, and we'll see you again soon. Peace, y'all.